So, Kev, how do you reflect on a great night on Thursday that sets up a semi-final against Forest Green Rovers?
Yeah, I think an emotional one, a roller coaster of throughout the game. But I think the playoffs always seem to throw up games like that, and you know, it's such a tight game in terms of could have gone either way. But we come out the right side of it, and that's credit to the players for never giving up and keep going right to the final whistle. Within 90 minutes and 120.
Was that game against Rochdale a perfect demonstration of the importance of building a squad like you have been over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I think so. We listen when you look at our recruitment of what we've done, and when we had the time to look at what we needed after losing players the start of the season, injuries, it did set us back. So we'll credit to our recruitment team and what we've done, and everyone that's done their job in that. You need a squad. You look at the teams that have been at the top end of this table. Barnet in the summer done ever so well. Forest Green, York, Oldham. They've all got strong squads, and we've done that more or less the second half part of the season, which means we've got ourselves into the position we have.
And then looking at the emotions of the game and the way your players handled the match, what do you think they're going to learn from that game, and how do you think they're going to apply it to Forest Green?
I think, listen, there's so many different ways you can win a game of football, and sometimes you've got to show that character, that grit, and a bit of quality as well, I've got to say. And we've done that, and that's put to bed, and then you move on, and you focus on the next one, because you watch it back and there's things you want to improve, of course, and things you've done well. I think every manager will be doing the same thing, but we focus on the next one straight away.
I mean, in the middle of a playoff campaign right now, and after everything you've been through with Southend United, including the testimonial on Friday, how much does it mean right now to be leading Southend United going forwards?
Yeah, of course. As you say, we got ourselves late into the playoffs late. Obviously, the testimonial thing had to be that time because the pitch is getting ripped up. I couldn't delay it any longer. There's pre-season games that the club have to have. So, the timing of it meant it was. And, off the back of getting into the playoffs and winning the game, the timing was fine. So, yeah, listen, hugely proud of which I don't think anyone needs me to say that. They should know where we're at, but just pleased with the players, and what we've been doing. But we're fully focused on the game. I don't think you need me to say too much of what's gone by or what's we've done. Our focus is on Wednesday night.
I mean, looking at Wednesday night, we've had some really tight battles with Forest Green over the last sort of year or so with those 2-2 draws. What do you make of the test that they will provide, and how much can you take from specifically that most recent meeting back in March?
Yeah, a huge test, as you say. I think, Steve's so experienced, a top manager, of course, and a real good side. We see that at Roots Hall, and we saw that at their place as well, where there's nothing to choose between the teams, but they've been up there all season with the consistency they've got. A lot of experience throughout the team, and really well organised. And you see the work rate and the intensity they play at. Tells you how it's going to be as a game, and I think that would be for both teams.
Nice one, thanks, Kev.
Kevin, how was your testimonial match last week? I'm sure you enjoyed it a lot more after the Rochdale win.
Yeah, of course. Listen, it was really good night, and I think to have it spend it with family and friends was the most important thing. And for the fans that turned up, I'm really grateful to them. And as I say, having my boys on the pitch, and that was a real highlight.
I've seen a lot of nice messages of support for you on social media, and I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of fans as well since that Rochdale win. What do these comments mean to you?
No, listen, I speak to a lot of fans, not social media, but yeah, listen, everyone you speak to, incredibly proud of the football club, and that for me is to, for the players as well. And I think what they've got is a team to be proud of. I think, a team that they backed the whole way. The support we take everywhere we go is unbelievable. And it looked like the season, might have finished for them and within the regular season, but we dragged it on. Now it's just making the most of what we got again, like we did last Thursday, and what we go into now is another tough one, another semi-final and a one-off game that might be 90, might be 120 minutes, who knows? So we want to win.
The players ran themselves into the ground, didn't they, against Rochdale? You had to manage their workload a little bit the last.
Yeah, I think that's primarily the thing we've been in. Recovering, training for the ones who need training, and it's just managing that workload. Because they're fit. But it's getting them to the game Wednesday night in fresh and ready to go again.
How is the squad availability looking like?
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, not too bad. A few bumps and bruises, which you'd expect after 120 minutes, but by and large, in okay place.
And you've got so many players that are in good form at the moment. Obviously, in a big game like this, everyone wants to be involved. How do you sort of manage players' expectations? Because obviously you can't.
We speak to them and listen. They know everyone's going to play a part. I think you see that the other night, and I think the most important thing is whether you're not starting the game, but that you're ready, because it might be that moment that you're needed. And that's why you've got to train properly every day. Whether you're starting, whether you're being on the bench and not played as much, you better be doing extras. You better be training properly, and the intensity of training's got to be right, because when you're called upon, you might be needed. And
for you, Kevin, as someone who's given so much to Southend United, how are you managing your emotions in such a big game?
No, okay. Listen, I think, as a player, you always enjoyed the big games. These are the ones you want to be involved in as a manager. At business end of the season where, it's all to play for. I think this is what we're all in the game for.
I know your focus is always on the next game, but it must be difficult to sort of shut out thoughts of going to Wembley, because that is what's at stake here.
Yeah, no, honestly not. This is so busy at the thing that you're so focused on and what's ahead of. Every opponent we have, I have the utmost respect for. And, I know Forest Green, I know Steve's teams and how good they will be and how prepared they'll be. So, listen, that would be remiss of me to start thinking any further or talking about anything further than the game Wednesday.
Thanks, Kevin. How's James Norton?
Yeah, still not been out in the grass at the minute. With the report back we got was that it'd take a certain period of weeks, but incorporating within that of what he's already missed. So on a day by day, week basis, we're going slowly with him. Hopefully, he's another few days closer every time that we go a little bit longer with him. But in terms of joining in with the group at the minute, not yet.
It might be a stupid question, probably is. When you get players that are coming off the bench and doing well, impacting, is there a hard decision to make? Well, they're doing well, doing that, or do we keep them there, or do you try and start them? How do you sort of work out that balance?
No, I think it was when you've been in the game this long, you generally have an intuition of how the game might pan out, what it looks like. You always want your subs to make an impact, and sometimes it is different starting than coming on. And the subs we made worked. Sometimes they don't work. That's football, and that's the life of a manager. You can't get everything right. But you do it you make decisions based on your experience and your knowledge of what the game might look like.
Just wondered if your watch measures your heart rate, and it might have been during Wednesday or Thursday night. It must have been quite high.
Yeah, listen, I think even on the side, doesn't. We're talking about things. Listen, it's in the hands of the gods now. Don't worry what can happen. But yeah, listen, I think everyone went through an emotional roller coaster on Thursday night. But listen, that's football. And, I'd be worried if you weren't emotionally attached to games. I think you've got to be. I think that it's all right being emotional with it, but as long as you think clearly. At the same time, I think that's the measure of the best of both worlds.
And it was almost not tear-jerking, but quite emotional at the end, wasn't it? After everything this club's been through, to see the fans, to get as far as we have, it was sort of goosebumps moments.
Absolutely. And I keep saying it that the fans deserve to have their moments. There hasn't been nothing, and the players as well that have been through a lot, they deserve that as well. And for how they played and how they kept going, they deserve that at the end. And hopefully we have one or two more to go.